So, if any of y'all have watched my short, which I'm aware I posted it a few minutes ago, I'm going to be talking about movies I have watched today. Oh boy. So the first movie I want to talk about is this one called Imaginary. And now, so let me just explain the plot. Our main character is Jess, and so Jess moves in with her her husband, who has kids from his previous relationship, named Taylor and Alice. And so, anyway, look, Lucky's gonna be joining us. This is my new kitten. So, move in, and everyone is moving in. And actually, they're moving back into her old house, which I honestly sat there like, yeah, this is a great idea. Totally. Problem is that a lot of weird shit was happening in that house. Her husband tells her, oh, well, maybe if we just go to your old house, these nightmares will stop. And she's like, yeah, hopefully. And then, they get to the house. It's not completely finished, but I guess the husband just didn't really give a... He just didn't really care. And so, as they're on their way to this house, basically, she starts noticing how weird stuff was happening. She's trying to get closer to Alex and close to Taylor. And even though she's doing her best and whatnot, I'm gonna tell you what, trying to be a mom to a teenager who is still not over losing her mom, because it turns out the mom is like mentally ill and and her Alice, little girl, after hearing like a strange noise, goes into the basement, which I kind of sat there like, what in the world is this little girl doing? Why are you going into the basement? Bless you. As I'm watching it, and she finds like this little teddy bear. And she starts talking like, oh, Jess can be very forgetful. What's your name? And the bear, I guess, says its name is Chelsea. Or Chansey. I don't know how to pronounce it. But it's spelled this way. So basically she takes the bear upstairs. She starts playing with it. And then she starts changing her whole attitude towards Jess. Jess basically left this little girl alone, mind you, because she had to take a work call. And she left both children alone in the house, mind you. And I'm just sitting here like, not to mention Alice looks at least like, I don't know, like 8, maybe 10 years old, at least. And so she's basically a, kid. And honestly, I had to do my research, because the fact that she had imaginary friends, I was like, is her social life okay? But apparently, people who are like 9 and older can still have friends. But, however, this one was different. Because, it said, according to Google, it's normal for kids who are older to have imaginary friends, just as long as they're aware that they are not real. And now, I will say one thing that I was thinking, and that is, okay, never mind, she's not okay, because she's like acting like Chansey is real. Like, this is a real person. It's not. And so basically throughout the movie, she's like talking, and at first Jess is like, oh, this is really cute. She has like an imaginary friend. And her husband too is like, oh, that's nice. That's nice that she has imaginary friends. And The husband is like, I used to have an imaginary friend. His name was Mr. Tough. And, he used to really like explosions and he created bombs. And something what Jess says is that, and this is her exact line, so your imaginary friend was a terrorist. And I couldn't help but lose my internet because I just started dying laughing. I was like, well, I mean, you did say he likes bombs and he creates bombs and he likes destruction. So yes, your friend sounds like a terrorist. I'm just saying. But no, basically, so eventually they go to bed and, Alice comes in there and she's like standing in the corner. First off, she's standing in the doorway so menacingly, like she's standing there like, and it's like, bruh, can you just come in? What the hell are you doing standing there? You're creepy. But anyways, so she says, oh, me and Chancey are playing hide and go seek. I need somewhere to hide. And the dad's like, oh yeah, sure, buddy, you can hide with us, honey. And, she's just like, okay. She gets into bed and, they're hiding. They're playing. They go underneath the covers because they don't want to be found. And then Jess hears the sound of the door creaking. I'm going to tell you right now, if I have a child and she comes to me about this imaginary friend playing hide and go seek with her, and then I hear a door creak, that ain't no imaginary friend. That is a demon. And I'm gonna be pulling out holy water, Bible, something like salt even, like I'm gonna be pulling out the whole jizz, like, get away. But no, apparently, basically, Alice is like, hiding and talking with her dad, and her dad's like trying to tell her about his imaginary friend, and, Alice is, talking with him, and then, so Jess pulls down the covers. She starts looking around. She doesn't see anyone. First off, her husband, total a-hole, because he then jump scares her. And not gonna lie, it scared me a little too, because I was not expecting the husband to just go, rawr. I was like, bro, I was expecting someone to be under the bed, like the teddy bear or some shit. But anyways, so the bear, Chancey, the bear, is found kind of in the corner. It's wedged in the corner of the bed. And so in the morning, when Jess wakes up, everyone's gone, and then she goes to go paint, because she's like illustrating her own books and stuff. Anyway, so she's trying to think of what to paint, and Alice comes in and is like, oh, well, your stuff is very pretty. I like it. So does Chancey here. And, she starts going, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I'll take a break. And Alice is like, yeah, good idea, you should take a break. And, whatnot. And so the mom starts trying to play with her kid. Actually, I feel like I'm starting at the very beginning. Because that's at the very beginning before Chancey is even, like, shown. But anyways, so yeah, that's the whole thing, is that, the summary there. And I'm gonna tell you what, there's a scene with Taylor where she's trying to take a selfie, and she sees this old lady in her background. She looks out the window like, who the was in my background? Nobody's there. She opens her door and starts going outside, which, first off, I got mad as hell. I was like, I'm sorry, I know you don't like your stepmom, but if I saw a random old lady outside my house, I'm not going outside to go see who it is. I'm not doing that. I'm going to do something. It's like, call 911. Like, there's a random stranger in our yard. Nope, she walks outside, she looks around, no one's there, and then she sees this really cute neighbor boy who starts talking to her, and, it's like, talking to her about how, he's a bad boy, basically. So, as they're talking, and whatnot, I don't want smoke jumping on you. Yeah. That's smoke. Anyways, so basically, you got this old lady. Well, guess what? Turns out she was not an imagination. My cat is trying to turn off my video. What? Do you not like me filming? You can come say hi too. Say hello, Smoke. My baby boy. Anyway, so basically, the old lady was not, a hallucination like I thought it was. Because honestly, first time I was like, yeah, it's a hallucination right there. That is a hallucination. You is hallucinating. Nope. Turns out the old lady eventually pops out of nowhere in front of Jess, and it's like, oh, hi, I used to be your babysitter. My name is Gloria, and I used to babysit for you, before you disappeared. And here's the crazy thing. So she goes to see her dad, who was like really, really sick, like mentally sick, and, kind of like the girl's mom. Anyway, but she is like, oh, like, she's trying to be like, oh, like, I don't really remember you, but hi, I guess, to, like, the old lady. And the old lady starts asking about her dad, and she's like, he's fine? Problem with her dad is that he was not, because he started freaking out and said, I'm sorry, they didn't believe me when I said you disappeared. That was two adults telling her that as a kid, she disappeared. If I got told that by not just my own dad, but someone who used to babysit I'm moving houses. I'm changing addresses. I'm leaving. Anyway, but basically Gloria says how she's a writer too, and, she starts talking about how she writes books. They're not necessarily kids' books like, Jess's writing. It's more so like, these like social books or something. They're not very creative, and all this. And she's like, oh, okay. And then, first off, my first number one red flag was how she was treating the little girl. Because, here's the thing. If you're talking, like, if two adults are talking, and this little girl who looks at least 9 or 10 walks up and says, yo, I'm hungry, to the mom, as a babysitter, decide to be passive aggressive. Like, it's one thing to be like, for example, in Bluey, where the dad gets interrupted by Bluey the first time, and how it's like very disrespectful. Notice how none of the adults say anything. They wait and let Bandit handle it. Yeah, well, Gloria here, she doesn't let Jess handle it. She decides to go, oh, sweetie, me and your mom are having a conversation. First red flag. My second red flag was how she was treating the oldest, where the oldest was like, are you gonna come make her sandwich, or am I gonna have to? And now, first off, yes, I do understand the teenager was being very passive-aggressive and an a-hole, but I feel like that passive-aggressive was kind of towards Gloria. Mainly because Gloria was being to Alice, when instead of letting Jess, who, mind you, Jess is supposed to be their stepmom, not Gloria, Jess. Jess is supposed to be their parent. And this literally looks at the little girl and is like, me and your mom are having a conversation. You should wait your turn. Like, I would have backhand her. I'm not kidding. Listen, I get where it depends on the motive, because I know everyone, when it comes to parenting, you don't want someone else parenting your own kid. Here's the thing about me, though. It depends on if you are put in charge of that child. Like, for example, if your older siblings have kids, and they're like, hey, watch my kid, I feel like you should be allowed to, parent that child anyway, because you, at the moment, are responsible for that child. So, yeah. But anyway, basically, Jess eventually is like, oh, sorry, I have to go, bye. And then she leaves. She makes food. picture of it right here. Anyway, so she sees like the old teapots and the old fire, and she physically recoils back away from Jess. And Jess notices it too. Yo, what the absolute did this mom do to her little girl? Because that's not just, oh, I'm scared, I don't want to get burned, like, you know, alert. As in, like, the mental mind telling you, hey, that's fire and it'll hurt you. No, that was actually a physical recoil, like trauma recoil. And that's why I was like, oh my god, what happened to this poor baby? So she basically asks if she can have a brownie for her imaginary friend. Jess says yes and gives it to her. And, as she's, eating brownies and, having a nice, lovely chat with her imaginary friend, Jess notices that she's doing something. And now, I'm not gonna lie, in order for me to remember what it says, I'm gonna put a picture right here. But, anyways, so she's doing like a scavenger hunt for her imaginary friend. And as she's doing this scavenger hunt, almost in hand into a rusted nail. And then she starts saying, oh, I'm sorry. And then, like, when Jess reads the back of it, it says something that hurts. Again, that is not an imaginary friend. That is Satan. That is a demon. But anyways, basically that is when they find, like, Dr. I forgot what her name is. But anyways, like, Alice's therapist. But anyways, they go in there and they start talking about the imaginary friend. And Alice is like, oh, can I bring Quincy in here? And, or Chancey or whatever its name. I'm going to say Quincy because that's better. Anyway, so Quincy, and Alice brings Quincy in there and she starts talking to herself. And it's like a back and forth conversation because the therapist is like, how about you tell your imaginary friend how that made you feel? And she goes, Quincy, that really made me scared. And it really hurt my feelings. And Quincy starts talking kind of like in like one-liners that are like, Quincy loves Alice. Quincy would never hurt Alice. Never, ever. Never, ever. And it's like, so she starts going back and forth, having like this little mental like breakdown while yelling at her imaginary friend. And the therapist sits there, kind of bamboozled, and so am I, because I'm like, so the mom basically is like, okay, like Jess is like, oh, okay, well, what video? And like she shows a video of like a little boy talking about something like his imaginary friend named Rodney Rabbit or something like that. And little boys talk about how, like, never ever and how it loves them and all this other stuff. And basically, in a sense, and pulls up something. And it's like a drawing that she made when she was a little girl. And it had never ever on it. Well, basically, she starts watching the thing, like, that's with Alice. And Alice turns around because the therapist is like, have she been doing ventriloquism by any chance? Like, she is able to, like, talk in a different voice while crying. And I'm sitting here like, I wonder if ma'am knows that these people, yeah, there's no way for them to talk in a different voice if they're fucking sobbing. I don't know how that's even possible. So no, that's not possible. But as Jess watches it, she gets confused because she's like, where's the bear? And the therapist is like, what bear? And she goes, there was a bear. Like, so she's like, Quincy is a bear. And they're like, there's no bear. There's no bear. What bear? There's not a bear. And she eventually starts thinking she's going insane, because, you know, she didn't ask Taylor, because she's like, Taylor, you've seen the bear, right? And Taylor goes, there's not a bear. That's what imaginary friends are. They're imaginary. And I'm saying, one thing I do want to discuss, imaginary friends aren't always, anyway, so, basically Taylor's like, oh, like, one thing I do want to mention, though, is that not all imaginary friends can be imaginary. Some of them are obtained to objects, because that's something that can happen, because I remember me as a kid, like when I was 7, I used to have like a little baby doll that I said was like my child, technically. But anyways, so when Alice runs out and is crying and sobbing and shit, Taylor goes to comfort her, and then you know, she falls asleep, but this is where she gets real. Taylor leaves, the imaginary friend comes back, and, you know, goes to take Alice to the magical place, because, you know, the imaginary friend apparently told her, hey, if you finish my scavenger hunt, I'll take you to where I take all my friends. You can't tell your mommy or daddy, though. And I'm just sitting there like, this sounds like something Epstein would say. Setting like, she starts doing the thing. She goes into this portal, and now they don't know it yet, but like, eventually, Jess and Taylor are panicking, because where's Alice? She was just in the bed a few minutes ago. Girls are looking everywhere. Eventually, they start walking the block. And then Taylor gets mad at Jess and starts screaming at her and saying shit. And they say shit, and then they separate. And then Jess runs back in the house and starts having like a mental breakdown, I think. At least that's what it looks like from my perspective. But anyways, so while that's happening, Gloria, creepy old lady that we met earlier, she spawns out of Taylor's booty cheeks and is like, oh, I know where your sister is. Follow me. Girl, do not say that to a girl who looks like she can knock you out for taking her sister. Psycho. Anyway, but she goes in and she starts telling Taylor, like, oh, I wrote my book on this. Like, and what I found interesting is it's kind of taken a what-if concept. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I always had what-if concepts. Like, what if the imaginary friend I've had was actually, like, some type of entity or, like, a spirit of some type? So it kind of takes that route and makes it into a horror film. Anyway, so basically Gloria goes to Jess and starts telling Jess, and Jess is like, CB, you know, listen to Gloria, how Gloria says that's what they mean. I disappeared, like CB. Like, CB was my way of saying Quincy, or Chansey, because her imaginary friend's name was Chansey Bear. So, CB is basically mad at her because she basically abandoned him. And so, here's the problem. Your imaginations, especially with people who are neurodivergent, because one thing I want to say what they saw was it shows how Jess's dad becomes mentally ill. And it shows that he tries getting away, but he ended up staring into the eyes of the entity. And the entity was showing all these kids' imaginations, and it gave him a mental break. And so by the time he got away, he lost his sanity. And so he's like insane. And you can hear little Jess saying, I'm sorry we couldn't play our game. And the dad's like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. I started violently sobbing. Especially because Gloria decides to say, oh, so your dad stared into his eyes and lost his sanity. Yeah. Oh, so he sacrificed his sanity to save mine. But anyway, Gloria goes over to the door, pulls out the thing that was keeping the door open. And they start, both Taylor and Jess have my reaction, which is, what are you doing, you old hag? And she goes, this is where we're meant to be. He's been talking to me. And I'm just sitting here like, oh, so you were Delulu the whole damn time. That sounds accurate, actually. Because you talk like a Delulu person. Now, this has got to be the funniest part of the whole movie, even if it's not meant to be seen as funny. But basically, the door opens, and the bear, or CB, grabs the old lady and drags her into the door and is, I'm guessing, mauling her to death. And, you know, I'm sitting here like, I guess karma really caught up to the old hag. Basically, the, you know, bear, there's a part where Taylor gets trapped in this room, and I'm gonna say the music for this, for the bear coming, pause, for the bear approaching, is so horrific, yet not scary at all. Because I'll be sitting there, and what's crazy to me is how cheerful it sounds. Like, I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, dude, I like how I can just hear. I will say, I got so mad at Taylor, though, because basically, for this, like, bear, I'm playing a small clip of it for you guys, just... Yeah, that's the song. That is the sound. I only play like 4 seconds of it so I don't get copyright, hopefully. Anyway, but that is the sound that plays when, you know, and one thing I must say is that Imaginary and Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare both have eerie songs for, like, them, but are different. But we'll get to Peter Pan here in a second. Anyways, so basically that's the song that Taylor hears, and she's standing there, and here's the thing, I'm yelling at this bitch to unplug the damn thing, because she's just standing there like, and I'm like, girl, what are you doing? You are dumber than any horror movie character I've ever met. What are you doing standing there? Unplug that, unplug it, girl. Because it's clear, so what the song is played on is like, I want to say I'll have an image for it right, you know, in this corner right here. But basically it's like this thing where it has like a little bear, and there's a poster of the bear already. So it's clear that once that little bear gets on top of it, the bear's gonna spawn. This girl unplugs the music. Too late. I mean it. Because the bear's just... And she's just sitting in there, and I'm like, oh, now you're cooked. You are cooked, girl. I told you, you stood there too long. That you know what? This is natural selection, ladies and gentlemen. And all my in-betweens. This is what we call natural selection. Because I'm like, you chose when it was getting close to the photo. But basically, she starts panicking, and, you know, the bear disappears as she starts looking around. And then this demonoid version of her little sister attacks her. And I'm going to say right now, if Jess was not careful, she would have stabbed Taylor by accident. Because she stabs right into the picture. Because, back to Jess real quick. Spoiler alert, she kind of finds the picture on, like, this little wall. And she keeps staring at it for a very long time. And I was wondering what she was doing, and wondering if she was, like, trying to summon the bear to come after her or some shit. No, she then stabs the scissors through the painting and rips it, and then saves Taylor. Girl, you almost killed your own stepdaughter. And that would have not been pretty. And Taylor's like, oh, this is our old apartment, and let me go check her room. And now the creepiest, and I mean the creepiest thing, that, you know, they already seen their mom, and I feel like the mom, since she's mentally ill, even knew that something was wrong with the damn bear, because she shows up, and she startles Jess, but it turns out that Taylor had been testing her all along, and that's how she got their damn address. Yeah. But anyway, basically in this imaginary world that, like, you know, Alice is in, she's like, oh, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave this place. I got presents. I got this. I got everything I need. I don't want to leave. And now I'm here with my sister. And now I have my 2 mommies. And when she says this, a creepy, I guess a nicer version of her mentally unstable mom pops out of nowhere. I'm guessing she spawned out her ass or something. But pops out of nowhere. And it's just like, oh yes, honey, we're gonna be a happy family and y'all could live here and yada. And then Jess has an idea. It's basically she takes blue stuff and starts using glue to like make it, and you know, the demon, first off, this demon, I can't tell if the demon was stupid or if it was hoping that the girls would stay under its control, because it's just standing there as Alice and Taylor's mom, just standing there like watching Jess, and Jess is like, don't worry, we just, you know, in this world we can do anything, so we just need to be creative. Come on, girls, help me, it's fun. And so she starts building a door, basically. And now, craziest part is where, so basically the mom, Alice and Taylor's mom, loses her on Jess. And basically the girls get out, but Jess doesn't. And so Jess is basically trapped there, and she's like panicking, because like she's fighting this monster. And then this is where the movie absolutely tricked and bamboozled my ass, because it looks like Taylor pulls her out. And, you know, eventually it shows where, you know, her dad's in the hospital, and she's sitting right next to the hospital bed reading him a story. And, like, you have Alice, Taylor, and Matt's, I think that's what her husband's name was, all there. And, you know, she closes the door. But here's the craziest part where she finds out that she's still stuck. She pulls up the sleeve from Alice's arm and notices there's not a burn mark on her arm. And so when she notices that, she's like, I'm still here. And then that's when her dad slowly raises up like he's a vampire, looks at her and goes, you aren't gonna leave me again, and you aren't gonna leave him again. You'll never leave him again. Never ever leave him again. You'll be here forever, ever. And as she starts running, and now turns into the spider from her books, and starts chasing her down this labyrinth of a room, she books it to the actual door. She starts clawing at that thing. Well, eventually, Taylor, like the real Taylor and Alice, actually gets it, you know, out, gets her out, and they're like fighting against this creature, and then the creature tries showing them everything. And now here's my number one thought, because Jess was staring at it for a little too long. And I mean like insanely long. And then it gets Taylor to stare at it. And you know, they're trying to keep Alice back, and Alice is standing there like, no, don't look at it. Don't look at it in the eyes. And then this thing goes, you're Alice Quincy's best friend. You're my best friend. You'll always be my best friend. Right, Alice? And Alice was like, I was never your friend. Never, ever, ever. And that is when the demon gets kicked in the face by Jess, and they close the door. And somehow, Jess is still sane. Well, basically, while Jess and Taylor are trying to paint the door closed, like how, like, in the vision, that's what her dad did, basically, to keep the door closed, was he painted over it. But anyway, as Taylor and Jess are trying to paint over it, the demon still manages to get out. So then they're, like, fighting the demon, and then this is when Alice, listen, kids, it's never okay to play with fire. unless you're trying to burn a demon and send it back to where it came from. She strikes a match, throws it on this thing, and it starts burning the demon alive. And then the whole house catches on fire, and they run outside, and Taylor's dumbass tried going back inside the house like, no, we have to stop the fire. And it's like, no. I liked how Jess was like, no, we don't. Like, I started saying, something I give credit to all the black people in horror films. I don't know why they're smarter than us white people. Like, a white person in a horror film, when they hear, like, little girl laughing in their home and they know they left their home, but the door's right open, they're like, oh, who's there? Who is it? Let me go investigate. And then a black person is like, nah, I'm out. And GG's for y'all. Deuces. Like, yeah, Jess is definitely 100% a good character, because she's just like, nope, we ain't saving that damn house. And I'm like, thank you for stopping the white dumbass. Very happy. But that was the end of Imaginary. So next, Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. Watching this dude go after little boys. Word, little boys. And I can't help but notice that bro is not only racist, but misogynistic as hell. Because throughout the whole film, basically whenever he would kill someone, like for example, in the beginning he kidnaps James, which is this little boy, and I can't tell if James became Captain Hook, because we do see him towards the end, or what, but basically at the beginning, when James is like, about to get kidnapped, his mom saves him. But here's the one thing. I kid you not, she gets half of her foot, like, where your toes are, gets half of it chopped off by Peter, and my foot started hurting. Not to mention that he brutalizes Roxy, which is the name of James' mom, like Art the Clown did it. Like, because not only did he rip her scalpel open, which kind of looked like that one scene in Art the Clown, this scene right here, but I was literally sitting there, like, here's the thing. Even Art ended up killing that girl. As soon as he got done with her, he killed the mom too, but like, he still killed them eventually. Still. Peter? Nah. Bro is this much of a misogynist that he literally, you can hear Rock's like, you want to come to Neverland with me now, boy? It's like, oh, bitch, I don't. Off. Then we get to meet Michael, John, and Wendy. And now let me just say that Michael in this one, even worse, he has a bike. And he was trying to ride to school alone. And I'm just thinking of the black phone while watching it when he says that. Because I'm just sitting there like, and the mom and dad are divorced. Or 3 kids, rather. But anyways, Wendy takes Michael to school because, Michael just got the bike. He can't just like, get on it and, ride it and see how it goes, But anyway, as she's talking to Lily, she talks about her boyfriend. This ghosted her! And she's still caught up on wanting to date him! Wendy! What the Girl! No self-respect for her. And first off, I blame the boyfriend, because this is why Michael got kidnapped. Anyway, so as she arrives to pick Michael up, first off, she's puffing. Which, girl, that is so unhealthy for you. What are you doing? Anyway, she's puffing in the car. And, I bet you $10 her car probably smells like cigarette smoke. And her boyfriend finally, I guess, spawns out her ass. His dumb ass takes his fucking bike and starts leaving. And now this is where I get very pissed off at Wendy. So I'm watching it. We get to Michael. He's not even biking home. At least I don't think he is. Because his dumbass is all the way in a goddamn woods. On a wooded trail. And I'm sitting there like, Michael, what the fuck are you doing? They said to bike home, not bike in the forest. What, do you think that's a shortcut? But anyway, there's this string that's there, and I guess Michael is very blind. Because I wonder how you don't see a string, because it was fucking sunny out. And let me tell you something about strings. If you've ever seen a string trap, I'm gonna tell you right now, unlike the movies, you will see that shit if the sun's out. If there is sunlight, the sun's gonna be beaming down on that string. You're gonna be able to see it. So either Michael is A, blind, or B, didn't give a or C, because it's a brand new bike, he didn't know how to stop pedaling without crashing to begin with. Which, by the way, he ends up crashing still. And now, let me tell you what, I about panicked, because he sees this, kidnapper-ass looking, pedo-looking, Epstein-ass van just chilling in the damn woods. And it's open. And now it says, welcome to, let's go to Neverland on the back of it. He looks at it. And at first when he got up, I thought he was going to be approaching the damn van. I was about to sit there like, this boy wants to get kidnapped. 100%. No, thank God he starts backing away from it. But it's too late because he did so slow. Like, bitch, book it out of there! You don't walk slow. You run for your life. If I see a creepy-ass van in the woods instead of a bear. Yes, I'm making that comment. I am not gonna be backing up like I'm in a horror movie. I'm gonna be sprinting down the damn woods, screaming for help. Anyway, but, I guess since I'm a woman, I'd be saved. Because Peter apparently doesn't like women. Told you, he's a misogynist. But anyways, so basically, he kidnapped he kidnaps Michael and takes Michael away. And then, Wendy's dumbass is still sitting in her car smoking. And she starts getting creeped out because, her brother hasn't come down. She goes back in and, the principal is like, I'm sorry, he's not here. He left. Yada, yada. Well, they start watching, and now listen here. Wendy's mom pissed me the off throughout this whole entire questioning from the CPS. Or I guess, CPS. Even though I guess nowadays they're called social workers. But anyway, still, the social worker is trying to get some answers out of him. Oh, does he have a history of running away? No, he's never done that. Oh, well, do you have a history of this or that? And it's the mom, first off, pissed me off because Michael does have a friend. He has one friend named Joey. And now, I want to say one thing. Props to all the white folk in it who have a black friend. Y'all are my favorite. And I love y'all. Anyways, keep that in mind, though. Keep that in mind. Because it's going to prove my point that Peter is a racist. Keep that in mind. Anyway, so basically Joey is his friend. And, his mom, when John, the older brother, suggests, oh, well, maybe he went to stay with a friend, his mom decides to say, Michael doesn't have any friends. I swear to God, if my mom said that about me, I would have fucking smacked the shit out of her. You cannot tell me that one friend doesn't damn count. What the fuck? I was so triggered watching that. I was like, oh my God, like mother, like daughter. Because both them be pissing me off. Anyway, so basically she says, oh, he doesn't have any friends. And, what's even worse, and I'm gonna say this, Wendy is like pacing back and forth, panicked. And they show the social worker. I don't know how the hell the social worker pulled up security camera footage. I don't even think that's a part of their job. Last I checked, social workers are supposed to just ask questions and decide whether a family is taking care of their kid properly or something like that. Last I checked, they do not have permission to pull up security camera. And you see Michael leaving. And the mom starts panicking like, Wendy, how did you not notice that he already left? And she was like, I was distracted. Nah, really? I didn't know. Wow. See, this is why you shouldn't have a boyfriend. Like, listen here, some men, I swear, it's best if you just leave their ass. To all my ladies who have a boyfriend, like this man, right here. Ditch that ditch him. Please. So, Wendy mentions how she was distracted, and Mom pissed me off even more by saying, what do you mean you were distracted? I'm sorry, Mom, do you not understand the definition of what distracted means? Means I wasn't paying attention. And even worse is that I want to say right now that if my mom, while I'm walking away having a panic attack, because that's really what, Wendy was having, was a panic attack. If while I'm walking away, my mom decides to go, stupid, we throwing hands. I will fight you like a grown woman. They get a phone call, and, Wendy, she's like, let me pick up the phone. And she picks up the phone like an idiot. Because what are you doing? Picking up the phone. And do not say hello! But anyway, so basically, she, a phone song that she hears, and it's called Pan's Calling Card. Now, I'm gonna play a little bit of it, because I don't want to get copyrighted. So this is what she hears over the phone. And so she hears that. Passive aggressiveness she is showing towards her own daughter. She snatches the phone out of her hand and goes, hello, who is this? And she hears the song and she goes, who are you? Who are you? And then Peter eventually picks up and goes, stop looking for Michael. He's in a great place. Hangs up. And, oh Lord, the mom starts storming out. John storms after her. And Wendy's left alone because the social worker also leaves. So Wendy decides to go to her friend's house. And let me just say, when it comes back to Michael, I'm going to just say one thing. This dude, 100%, is Jeffrey Epstein. But if Jeffrey Epstein was gay. Because, holy cow. And let me just say one thing. This dude is also transphobic, by the way. I'm 100% guaranteeing that he is transphobic. Because, oh my lord. Yeah. Because, we'll get to that. But anyway, so remember how I mentioned how Joey was Michael's friend? Yeah, well, Peter Pan finds out about that. And his decides to stop a train or a bus that was specifically of Michael's class. Now, on the plus side, Joey was not on that bus because he decided to stay home to help look for Michael. Big mistake on his part. But anyways, so basically, all those kids get murdered, by the way. The bus driver, and this is what I'm really recognizing, this is why I'm really saying he's misogynistic. Notice how I brutally described Rotzi's death, right? Okay, well, he also kills a store owner who was male. And he kills, the bus driver who was male. So he kills 2 males. Here's the thing about their deaths. It was instant. He literally, so the store owner, now listen, I've never been stabbed before. So I don't really know if it would be instant or not, but it looked instant in the movie. Maybe because the movie is not that bright. But anyway, so he stabbed the store clerk to death and leaves. And it was an instant death for the dude, because he was just dead, gone. Anyway, so the bus driver. Now, I don't know if I want to say this is an instant death. It looked like it ought to be. But basically, he pulls a Art the Clown move and goes like this with a knife. And yeah. And the bus driver falls. And now let me just say one thing about these kids. And I know they're kids and this is going to sound terrible. First off, I don't believe they're kids. They look at least 14. They ought to know something bad was happening. Because if I am sitting on my bus and I see my bus driver just fall over and I see this creepy ass Epstein looking ass pedo walking towards the bus, I'm getting the hell out of there. I'm booking it. I'm changing countries, actually. I will be moving states. Again, he would probably just murder me. Because, again, girl. And apparently, again, this is why I say he's misogynistic. Because he even says this one line to Tinkerbell, who we eventually get introduced to. He says, girls don't deserve to go to Neverland. If that's not misogynistic, I don't know what is. Other than the fact that he brutally kills females. Tinkerbell. So, let me just talk about one thing. And that is why this will come into play about how I said he was transphobic. Keep this in mind. So, they meet the dad to this little boy named Timmy. And when they go into Timmy's room, it's full of girly stuff. Like, like dresses and butterfly wings, like fairy wings, and like all this girly stuff. And Wendy, Lily, and Joey, all 3 are confused. They're like, what's up with all the girl shit? And the dad goes, he really... First off, that quote made me so upset. Quote, a girl. He really thought he was a girl. I'm sorry? Really thought. Not is, not believed, thought. Let you just sit with that for a sec. Anyway. So basically the dad is like, so the mom kind of supported it. Like, the mom was buying him, like, dresses and whatnot. Well, Peter Pan apparently supports, it's kind of a half-half. I want to say he kind of supports it, but holy shit, he supports it at a whole new level. So, he allows, spoiler alert, Tinkerbell is Timmy. Anyway, Tinkerbell still lives with Peter Pan, by the way. So I guess even Peter Pan decided to give him a transgender surgery to help him. He was like, don't worry, you want to be a girl? Bet, I'm gonna let it be done. So your name is now Tinkerbell, and you're my fairy. Anyway, Tinkerbell, now, she, has a very intriguing relationship with Peter Pan here. Because she starts, and, just caresses her face. And then eventually they start kissing. And I'm sitting there bamboozled. I'm like, the girl! I thought he hated girls. I mean, he's clearly shown huge disliking towards them. And he calls it pixie dust. Very clever. Even though it's, I can tell. It's yeah. Hook is James. Jump back to Joey's and Lily's house, and how, like, his bedroom, watching videos. Now, we both know, we all know, that as soon as Peter Pan found out about Joey, he was screwed. Breaks into the house. And because Lily, and let me just say, I'm so glad I have a bedroom. Because this would traumatize me from ever sleeping on a couch ever again. Lily's sleeping on the couch, and this is where I said, and she starts gaining consciousness, and she sees Peter standing there with a knife, and he goes, and then he just starts brutally, basically Wendy's phone dies. She then hears the dad yelling, Peter yelling, Lily, and the mom screaming. The white girl DNA, because instead of keeping the door closed and decided now's my time to get the f*** out, nah, she opens the damn door just a crack. Bro, a lot of hate crimes. Anyway, Wendy's dumbass decides to slam the door. I can't. Why is she so stupid? And then she starts panicking, so she has to find somewhere to hide. And not gonna lie, I'm so happy she didn't hide under the bed. Because that's where they always check. Because that is where Peter checks. He comes in there, he's looking around, still has the knife, covered in blood. He's looking around, looks under the bed, and then he thinks, oh, well, I guess no one's in here. And then he walks away. You see that Wendy is outside, I guess, on a balcony. This dumb decides to go back in the house! In the parents' bedroom! And now, I just want to say that I'm pretty sure he made the mom watch him mutilate his daughter. Probably gonna bleep that out, but anyways. I'm pretty sure he made the mom watch. Because I could just tell, because she wasn't dead, and she didn't look badly hurt. But she was tied up, like her arms were taped behind her back. And she runs upstairs, runs in there, and Wendy's trying to help her free. And, you know, she's like, you gotta hurry, like, he's gonna be back any minute now. Peter runs upstairs to where the mom is. The mom tells Wendy, hide. And when he comes back, he has a bag, and this is where, I'm sorry to the directors, but y'all really had me ticked off at this scene. You gotta learn how to do skation correctly. Otherwise, it looks like a dumb movie overall. But anyway, he takes a plastic bag over to mom's head, tapes it on her, and remember how I said that her arms are taped? Yeah, she can't get it off. So she starts going, looking like a drowning fish. I'll say right now, I timed her. So either she was really out of oxygen by the time she got up them damn stairs, or she just had such low oxygen levels to begin with that she was already screwed. Because it took her 2 minutes before she died. I thought I was like, maybe my thing's just wrong. No, I did it again. And it was still in the 2 minutes. Again, she wasted a lot of oxygen running up them damn steps. And talking to Wendy for some reason. Like, yeah, that's not gonna alert the killer to her at all. Anyway, so either that, or she had low levels to begin with, and she was just screwed from the beginning. Anyway, basically, you know, Wendy eventually hears the van driving off. She gets up, she goes downstairs, and she sees her best friend's mutilated corpse. She almost cries, but no, she grabs her keys and leaves. And this is where she pisses me off again. And she just keeps doing it. She just keeps doing it. She pisses me off because she literally not only had her damn bright lights on while following the killer, like, yeah, bro's totally not gonna see that shit. I guess he didn't, you know, because plot armor. But anyway, so as she's driving behind them, she, for some reason, I guess, doesn't have a car charger, which would have been useful in this situation, so you could charge your damn phone. She decides, once they get there, she gets out of her car and decides to go in there with her phone and her charger alone, without a weapon. I swear, I about had an aneurysm while watching that part. I was like, oh my god, you dumb. You know what? Your mom was right. Your mom was right. You are a stupid. You are. You really are. Because I kid you not, she not only decides to break into a serial killer frickin' pedo looking frickin' dude. No, she decides to charge her phone in the house too. Oh my god, this girl is dumb. So she charges the phone, and I guess not everyone is like me and don't have their phone on damn silent mode. Because, by the way, while she's sneaking around the house, you know, she's looking for Michael. First off, Tinkerbell finds her. And Tinkerbell is like, who are you? And she's like, shh, please, I'm just looking for my brother. I just want my brother. By the way, remember how I mentioned how he was racist? Yeah, you want to know which kid he took first to go kill? Joey. Let that sink in. Joey. Not Michael. Joey. Swear to God. Anyway, Tinkerbell basically helps Wendy in, says it's a birthday, and, you know, gets her, like, lets her in, and, you know, basically blocks the door so Peter Pan doesn't notice anything, because, you know, she's just trying to look like she's helping Peter Pan and whatnot. Peter Pan takes this kid down the hall to this special room, and now Tinkerbell, while in there, is like, you know, she kind of is pacing, and this is why you don't charge your phone in a serial killer's house. This is why. Because the second, and I mean this, I guess that phones just power on by themselves, I guess, once they're fully charged or something. Because Wendy's phone powers on, and it's just notification after notification after notification after notification after notification after notification after notification. And it's not on silent mode. It's just ding, 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 ding. And Peter, who is smoking and doing drugs and shit, goes, what is that? And he gets up, finds the phone, and goes, who the fuck is in this house? And Tinkerbell's like, oh, I don't know. And then he's like, you know what happens to liars? You know what I do to liars? And she's like, and then she tells them where she is. Probably to save her ass, honestly. I don't blame her, honestly. But anyway, she tells them where they are. And he goes. And then he finds only Michael because Wendy's hiding. Anyway, he finds Michael, and, you know, he does the same crazy shit, too. Only it's more, like, kind of on the DL. It's like, Michael, you know what I do to bad boys who lie? They don't get to go to Neverland. And I'm just sitting there like, cool, because I doubt Michael wants to fucking go. Because you keep watching, and now Michael mentions how Peter Pan is sick, and I'm like, obviously, he's clearly dying from being overdosed. I mean, he's an addict. Tell me twice. Please, tell me something I don't know, Michael. I can tell. Anyway, but he's planning on bringing all these kids. Spoiler alert, I don't know if I mentioned that. I'll probably cut that out if I did. I don't know. Anyways, so basically, this, part of the movie gets very intriguing. Because then Wendy pushes her thing over. And now, I don't know if dude has, like, shark teeth or something. But anyway, as they're, like, you know, running off and whatnot, she finds Tinkerbell. She's like, Timmy, I know that's you. And your dad misses you, and Michael's family misses him, too. And Tinkerbell is standing in the, you know, kitchen now, staring off into the distance. Michael hid under the table, but he did grab his sister's phone, and, you know, in the UK, instead of 911, he called 999, because that's their hotline for cops. Anyways, but Michael, the smart boy, calls for help. Also, Joey was found, by the way, and saved, and now this might sound like an a-hole comment from me. I kind of feel bad that he was saved. Might have been best for him to join his family. Because now he's going to be put in a foster system or an orphanage. Because his sister's dead, his dad's dead, his mom's dead, his whole family's dead. So that means he's pretty much an orphan. So that's why I'm like, I mean, if he went to Neverland, because, I mean, I'm just taking this in the biblical form. Neverland, I guess, to Peter means heaven. So I wonder what hell is like for him, if he believes in it. Maybe Earth is hell to him. Anyways, basically, I feel like he would have been best to go to Neverland with his family. But anyways, she saves them and, tells them, alright, she starts ripping off these wooden boards that are keeping this window closed. And she goes, alright, Joey, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save you. And you need to run. Run as fast as you can. Don't look back. And go get the cops. Go tell for help. I'm sorry to say this. I don't know if he ever did go get help. Or maybe he got found and killed. Not sure. Because after we see Joey run off, that's the last we see of him. Because I'm pretty sure it's Michael who got the cops in there. Because, yeah. But anyway, as Wendy is walking, she finds Hook. And Hook, because literally dude's hand, yeah, this in real life is very disturbing. Especially given the Hook is chained up with barely any clothes on. So yeah, you can see the nub where Hook is. Very disturbing. But anyways, basically, Hook is who alerted Peter to Wendy. By the way, Tinkerbell does end up getting brutally, and this is where I mean it, that he's transphobic as hell. Because not only does he torment poor Tinkerbell, he literally not only breaks her arms, because she's like, you lied to me. You said they didn't want me. That they didn't miss me. You said all that. You lied. And he's like, how dare you call me a liar? And then he starts breaking her arms in different ways. Well, at least one of them. And then he takes a knife, or a butcher's knife, or some type of, slicey object, and full on off Tinkerbell's arm. And then does it the same to the other arm. And as he's brutally murdering or ripping off Tinkerbell's limbs, he hears Hook. And he's like, oh, I got you now. He goes after her. And now this is where I honestly blamed Wendy. Because Wendy heard his footsteps coming. And instead of doing what any normal person would do, which is hide, she decides to leave. Like she ain't gonna get freaking attacked. And that's exactly what happens. She gets jumped. But anyways, I feel like she deserved that. And she's like fighting back a dude who is like twice her size, mind you. So she's like, fighting and all this. First off, this is where I said I don't know if he has like shark teeth or something. Because, oh my god, he bites her 2 fingers off. Literally bites them off. Like, I mean, you can hear the bone crunch, and he literally rips them off. So I don't know if this dude has shark teeth. Like, did he just get like shark, like he got these types of teeth, the vampire things I have? Yeah, he has these, only they're all the way in his mouth, I guess. Because how the absolute were you able to rip a girl's fingers off? Like, like he literally was like, like, so Wendy not only loses her fingers, but she gets away and then tries to hide. And this, I guess her shoes were made from Temu or like some other cheap place, because she manages to get a piece of glass stuck up her foot. So, I mean, I guess she must have been wearing Crocs or something, because I don't even know how that happened. And then her dumb ass decides to pull out the glass. And I mean, it was like a giant shark too. Pulls out the glass, and then she starts walking. Alright? She starts walking away. And now let me just say this one thing to y'all. You don't do that. Because then Peter sees the footprints finds her ass and is like attacking her again. And this time she runs off and she's like, you know, in, like I guess she's like running through the hall. She finally gets to the kitchen. She starts throwing Peter. And she gets a good few hits on him, not gonna lie. But really, the solitaire was Michael. Because, oh my lord, here's the thing about Wendy that pissed me off. So, as she's beating Peter Pan, he puts on this mask and he's like, don't hurt me, I'm a little boy. I'm just an innocent little boy. And I'm sitting there like this. Dude, if I were you while he's bleeding, I would have beat the ever-loving out of him. I'm just saying, I would have done it. Because not only does she watch Tinkerbell be murdered, because eventually he kind of pulls a Winnie the Pooh and smushes her face. I guess not technically fully in, because you can still see her head. But he full on is like, ugh. Like, yeah, there's a footprint here and everything. Like, he definitely did. Because he definitely broke this or this. Anyway, so Tinkerbell's now dead. Wendy just watched Tinkerbell die instead of getting up and helping. Because she's an a-hole and an idiot. Anyways, so basically she eventually whacks him and then he grabs it and starts beating her, getting on top of her, and then is like, you know, there's a lot of choking in this film. So I guess, you know, directors are kind of kinky. Anyways, but basically this is where Michael, the MVP, comes in and just starts beating the ever-loving out of Peter. And now this is where Wendy, oh my lord, I hate this kid. I hate this character so damn much. Like, that Wendy from actual Peter Pan is so much more likable. Because she's actually mature and actually, you know, responsible and actually smart. This one was just an idiot. She literally tells Michael, stop, Michael, don't do it. No, Michael, stop, stop. No, Michael, keep going. Keep going. Listen here, I'm going to tell you what my, cop told me during my training. As many times as it takes for to stop moving. You do not stop hitting until he stops moving, stops breathing, stops everything. If he is trying to kill you, you best kill him first. So Michael's just, like, losing his crap. Beating the ever-loving crap out of Peter Pan. Peter Pan is still alive, by the way. Sits up, and I'm like, this is why I hate you, Wendy. This is why I hate you. Well, guess what, my guys? Oh, my lord, it was GG's for Peter, because Hook gets out. And instantly, literally, hooks his ass. And drags him away. And I'm like, let's go! Like, it was like me watching a soccer game, man. It was like, woo! I was having a blast with that ending. And then it ends. But here's the creepiest part. Which I'm guessing they're gonna have a Neverland 2. And I'm guessing this means that the is like Art the Clown. And never dies. Because she then hears the do 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 do, like the carnival song when she picks up the phone again. And I'm just and then it ends and I'm just sitting there like, so he's not even dead. He killed Hook. I'm pretty sure that's what that means. He killed Hook. Anyways, so yeah, that was that movie. And Imaginary. So let me just say that those both movies were great. I loved them. Imaginary was awesome. But anyways, let me know if you guys like this type of stuff. I'll probably do more, maybe. Maybe I'll even do it on the new hit movie, Obsession. Because I plan on watching that with my mom. Anyways, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.